is in the mind of all these competitors, that they are willing to do something crazy to change things up. And of course, that brings us back to the reminiscent days of Invitational 2022, where it was Queasy and Veno dropping onto Cammy and Seti and making one of the best plays that we have ever seen in the FNCS ever.
Just imagine a mental picture, and I'm not saying this come true, but I did write it in the script. Eat about Poyo, suddenly Thomas HGE, Queasy, they're both contesting each other. They decided we're gonna fight it out right here, and then all the rest of the lobby is just like, we're also gonna be part of this. We're just gonna eliminate both of you, and just kidding. I hope that doesn't happen, but that's a very interesting point. In that moment, you know, in Invitational, we would have never, and I don't think anyone would have ever imagined that was what the play that would have been made. And so here with 3 games left, you gotta start thinking as a duo, like, bro, we can make one of those plays. It's high risk, high reward, but at the end of the day, like, it could win us a global championship. It could send us into the top 10 and receive life-changing amount of money. I mean, there's so much on the line here.
I think that was a very specific situation, though, in the Invitational, where Cammy and Seti and Queasy and Veno were so far ahead of the competition that even if Queasy and Veno did go down in second place, they would have been there regardless, because they knew that Cammy and Seti were so much stronger in the end game there. So I think that as far as other players landing on the raft, because there was at 1.4 teams, why not 40 teams? I think that is a very specific situation, because a lot of these teams are still trying to climb up that leaderboard and not sacrifice those placement points.
I think it is a specific situation, but I also think it's a specific situation that could actually happen, right? With how well those top 2 teams are playing, it could happen, Zeke.
That's right. Our players are taking the stage once again. They are preparing themselves mentally, but this is not the only competition that has been going on this weekend. There's another one happening on the Fortnite Battle Stage!
So we're here, Fortnite Festival Battle Stage Dallas. So here's how it's gonna work. We're gonna have each individual on a band. They're all gonna compete amongst themselves. The top player at the end of a battle stage competition will advance to the next round. And the next round is gonna be the finals for Battle Stage Dallas. At the end of Battle Stage Dallas, we will crown the best Fortnite Festival Battle Stage champion.
So this is arguably like the largest prize pool in like guitar game history, and the fact that Fortnite Festival Battle Stage Champions is happening at all is like, it's incredible.
This is the most calm, the most zen I've ever felt going into a tournament. Days, looking forward to maybe adding another.
All right, guys, welcome to round 1 of Fortnite Battle Stage Dallas. May the best rocker win.
Tell you right now, I'm gonna win the whole thing.
Our Rift Rider winner, Wide Moose!
Somehow I pulled it out at the end by just a couple thousand points. I'm barely shaking now still. I'm still shaking, I'm sweaty. That was very nerve-wracking, but I'm glad that we were able to get it done.
All right, guys, welcome to round 3 of Fortnite Festival Battle Stage Dallas.
Nerves being up here is just insane. Like, you are not prepared until you get up here. Battle stage is completely different from main stage. Like, it's truly competition at its finest.
This is my first time playing at an official tournament in over a decade. It feels pretty good, let's be honest here. So let's go!
Welcome to the finals of Fortnite Festival Battle Stage Dallas. And for the winner, we've got a little something special.
Where's my D-pad? I dropped activating!
Alex for winning, and congratulations to the Rift Raiders.
I did it for him. He couldn't be here with us today, but I was here. He was here with us in spirit, and I did it for him. But that's right beside me. I don't know how to feel yet. I don't know. It doesn't even feel real at this point. But it is real because I'm holding the golden guitar. So that's very cool. I could be more happy with how I played.
I hope we see more competitive events like this in the future. Because, man, so many people getting into great music. So many people getting into competition. That's what it's about. Love it.
Well, next time, I'm definitely bringing it home. Moose better watch over his back.
Shout outs there. Fortnite Festival Battle Stage Champion. After this, I know this has been super fun. I'm just gonna go. I'm terrible at that. let's just yeah, anyway. Here we are though, back once again. We are almost ready to jump back into the action. As we kind of talked about, only 3 games left to go, and then we are looking to crown global champions, Kelly.
It's finally happening. I mean, since 2023, where we saw Cooper and Miro raise their trophy, I've been waiting for this moment, and to see these 2 teams so close in reach of that title of the FNCS Global Champion, I cannot wait to get into this next game.
I'm so happy it's close. I'm so happy it's so close. As a neutral, if you're watching and you don't have a team that you're following, I think it's so good that things are so neck and neck going into these last 3 games. And of course, with that 1.5x points multiplier, anything can change so quickly. So even the likes of Vico and Flixie, if Peterbot and Poyo, Thomas and Queasy don't have a very good end to the day, Vico and Flixie could be your FNCS Global Champions for this year. So it's still all to play for, and it's going to be electric, Zeke. This is really where, this is the business end of the competition, we call it.
I know, we just cannot discredit this Victory Royale. 100 points. Yeah. I mean, right? A single duo could find themselves a Victory Royale, and then everything changes. This leaderboard shakes up. We could see Peterbot and Poyo have a slip-up like they've had, right? The same thing for Thomas and G. Any of these teams could. Now, we don't want that, but it could happen with 3 games remaining.
Yeah, and I love the way that these end games have been going. We've had wins from the high ground, we've had wins from the low ground, we've had solo competitions, we've had 2v2v2s. It has just been an all-encompassing experience of what Fortnite has to offer.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of everything. Just went crazy. Of course, there's that one game today where we had like 5 or 6 solos just in the game alone. So yeah, we've kind of had a little taste of everything. Now this is where things get really serious. I expect to see a little bit of change of strategy from some of our teams that maybe aren't doing so great. Some of the teams at the top, I think I'm expecting more nerves from, because this is really where it's make or break.
I think this is also where we're going to see a lot of issues with Storm Surge. A lot of players playing as safe as they can possibly be because they don't want to get eliminated. Regardless of going for those eliminations, they want those placement points. So I think that it's going to be a bit of a struggle for a lot of the teams that don't have kind of those off-spawn fights or other duos near them. They're going to have to make some big rotations to get those tags, or at least have some strategy in their back pocket.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious to start diving into what has changed, right? These players have had this time to kind of just wash away. Those first 9 games don't matter. We just have to show up for the next 3. These next 3 games will define our legacy, the legacy we leave here at the FNCS Global Championship. It is time. This is game number 10. Let's load right back on that battle bus with MDF and the best taco.
Thank you guys so much. And yes, MDF, we have officially crossed the halfway point. Match number 10 is in sight. And what's even more crazy to even consider currently was that performance out of Peterbot to close things off, because so many of these teams, they just had to sit and ice out for 20 minutes watching that. But we're ready to see what match 10 has in store for us. And like I'd already mentioned, MDF, everyone witnessing Peterbot's pop-off to conclude match number 9, then you go with your duo, you sit and you wait, think, talk, but what do you do realistically when you are dealing with the Thanos of the lobby?
Yeah, I mean, hey, they said it, we didn't, right? This is the truth of the matter, is that everyone looks up to this team as clearly the most powerful in the lobby, but now that we are in the back half, that short break does allow for other teams to try to sit down and formulate a strategy. 30 minutes between a game where you get to look into the VOD, look into the replay client, right? Feel out what exactly is going on around you is a huge opportunity. I mean, even now, we're seeing people like Acorn potentially find fights there in the feed, but Huddy and Kovacs need to just escape this duo, quite honestly.
Seems like Sky beat Huddy and Kovacs to the punch. He's actually got a Gatekeeper shotgun, which is going to fare significantly better, you would think at least, but Huddy actually going to find the first assault. Sky has been knocked. It's exclusively down to Scroll now to try and stay alive, but he's not going to be able to make it work. Huddy and Kovacs, once again, fully in control and commanding Rebels Roost.
Very nicely done for them now, as we are just jumping into things here. Peterbot, Boyo looking pretty good now. What's happening though? There's action happening here at the raft. They don't want nothing to do with it as they're shying away. Swizzy and Japko get a little bit of loot and just back off as fast as possible. You know, it is pretty interesting to think about a 40-point gap that was once at the start of the event, closed, and then all of a sudden sprung right back into the action come the back half. So really showing you that when Peterbot and Boyo win a game, it's usually explosive.
And the other thing that's important to note, though, is over at the raft, sure, we're seeing quick departures from Swizzy and Yapko, but their intent for 2 days in a row now has been exclusively get what they can and then immediately start to head towards the weapons bunker. That's been their big play, is trying to establish their surge damage around the underworld, around Grim Gimveno. It's another beast entirely. They're dealing with Damo and Resigns. Resigns, though, not going to be able to work his way out of this one, but Clicks could pay the price instead. Cuts off into the corner. Damo left to fend for himself here, but Clicks is incredibly low. Veno has been knocked, and it's going to be Oshi coming out on top. A massive upset for Clicks and Veno. They were inside of our top 10, but with that confidence secure by Damo, this is a real opportunity because this is the fastest conclusion we've seen yet.
Yeah, and you know, you saw what happened there. They didn't have material to work with. Things ended so fast, and not being able to secure the elimination itself is also just small points lost here. Jumping in with Chicho and Trulix, finding body tags. The Monarch pistol obviously hitting in the range of that 60 plus, but Kanata and Cooper, this is the earliest we've seen them go head to head up against Alex and Worthy, forcing them out of the drop. That was just one of the two, though. Malabuka and Mustache not happy with Kanata and Cooper taking their pickings here. This is almost a throwback to the Invitational when Kanata had beef at the racetrack up against Malabuka and Mustache.
Malabuka, Thomas HD at the time, but things have shifted because Kanata and Cooper finding that singular elimination now puts them in a power position here at Restored Reels. They have a very real opportunity as well. See if they can look for not just the solo, but also taking advantage of the other half section, because keep in mind, Restored Reels usually getting split between only 2 duos, but since Alex and Worthy got cut off so soon, that's going to be a better opportunity still, because Kanata and Cooper know that that POI has not been fully looted.
Well, matches 9 and 10 have been very interesting since we can see that the zone is going to remain down south once again, and Peterbot and Boyo saw Clicks and Vino get eliminated, and they wasted no time to rush in and secure these eliminations up against Resigns and Damo. Damo seems to have escaped outside of the Sandy Steps, but it makes sense, right? They would come in and just finish the job.
But Peterbot and Poyo also knew that if Clicks and Veno aren't there, they have zero fear of Oshi, and they've been very open about that. Japantini, on the other hand, Ray here at Restored Reels, Malabuka, Mustache, they've got one elimination as well. Teeny and Jap find themselves boxing the sun. They're trying to see if they can escape, but they're both going to pressure onto Malabuka's walls. Malabuka hasn't had his shield fully cracked just yet, but he's definitely low enough. Same could be said, though, for Japantini. Armored wall going to cut off that aggressive path from Mustache, and they'll have a moment to regenerate their shields.
Japantini have fallen down to 12th here. Very, not forget, 1.5x points to be earned, so every game having that much more significance on the standing. Look at Teeny slide up behind Malabuka and find an elimination right there. Very nicely done. And in quick fashion there, picks up the loot. He desperately needed that. He's only got 200 material even now. Tap on the other side, though, getting tagged off in the distance. Teeny looking to finish off Geras and Shop rotated north from the south. Seeing Clix and Vino go down, they're like, oh, okay, there's no one in third party. Let's go the opposite way. Everyone's adjusting.
And I think that adjustment was so unexpected for Malabuka and Merstash. Malabuka was trying to stay hidden because he recognized the fact that there was Geras and Shari on the other side. But again, Teeny, Chap, wasting absolutely no time, just caught in the center of the action.
I just want to say how interesting that Pirobot and Bolyo see Clix and Vino fall and they push in. Geras and Shari see it and like, let's get out. Very different philosophy, very different strategies at play there, but nonetheless, we progress here onto Bryson Bolts now, who have a little bit of this high ground spot here. Bryson Bolts continue to kind of remain inside this top 10 conversation. However, still shy of a victory royale to really propel them up to the top.
For sure, but for Baka and Pars, this is a site that they haven't had a chance to really take too much advantage of in a while. Their drop by the ship it station usually leaves them in contention to be able to look at a forecast tower or two, but because of the action that's been taking place between Vico, Flixie, Peterbot, Pollo, all these other duos trying to establish their dominance over these forecast towers, it's been difficult for Pars and Baka to work their way into that conversation. But again, this is also partially Domino's effect because Peterbot and Pollo rotated so early on to push Damo and Resigns off of the Clix Veno eliminations that now it's left an opening for Baka and Pars to set up home base around the forecast tower that would typically be contested by Peterbot and Pollo.
Rise and Ager's looking to see it. They can get a couple tags on a team rotating nearby. Well inside the top 10 here. We can start shifting our conversations a bit towards the prizing as well. Let's not forget how significant it will be as you start breaking into top 10. The differences in what you earn up towards top 5. That's what players are going to start having to worry about as well, given the performances. Even if first place is not in the question, you want to be up as high as possible.
And that's also an interesting dynamic to consider because some of these teams that are outside of that top 25 in the leaderboard, this might just be a prime opportunity for them to be as reckless as they want because realistically, 6 points per elimination, if they're able to stack 3, 4, possibly even 5, it's never going to be easy, especially not at the caliber of a global stage lobby. But when you know that everybody gets money and when you see such distinct gaps between the prize pooling just for 1 or 2 more placements higher, it's definitely worth trying to key after.
Yeah, Vico and Flixie thinking about keying Shadow and Virgo on that note. Shadow and Virgo very much aware that this bunker's going to open here. Now looking to back off, seems like they've sort of met their match. We had time to catch up with Vico's parent, and they said they expect Vico to get much more eliminations today. That is what is the hopes. And look, he has done just that. He is in 3rd place right now. Vico and Flixie absolutely have proven to the world that they are a scary team and someone to be respected.
Just seeing the way that Vico's mom is so invested though. I mean, granted, I would imagine that any parent would be, but it's just the emotional display. I can only imagine what it's like because even for us watching, the anxiety is bound to hit. Nerves definitely starting to build here, but the shots have to stay clean as ever for all of these players involved because you might not have as many opportunities as you would hope for, and Spinks managing to connect some very optimal shots with that Striker Burst Assault Rifle. He's definitely under a little bit of duress himself on the top of his surge base.
Haven't seen much of the early game from Dukes or Sphinx, but they are creeping their way up the standings. Just a silent team at the moment. On the other side, Booga and Aviv looking to make some noise here at the Reckless Railways. I was just gonna say, but you gotta be careful because here comes Flixie and Vico coming back to home territory. First tag's gonna come out onto Aviv by Flixie from the low ground. A great peek, and Aviv's gonna respect the damage coming in from Vico now and back off.
But both of these teams need to be wary of the fact that they don't want to get caught outside of the zone for a little bit too long. Teams inside of the zone already managing to build up more primary positioning, and when you're trying to break through some of these surge bases that are in more of that central map position, it can be very difficult to work around and still retain as many resources. All of these splashes, a little bit of Flowberry Fizz that Vico has left over. It seems right now he can definitely buy himself more time than what Bugha and Aviv had to offer, but because of that factor, Bugha, Aviv, they're not really interested in the fight.
One thing to note too, the bunker, not really talked about how much ammunition it serves out to the players that secure it. You saw there, Vico and Flixie had 300 ammunition apiece, where you start jumping into other teams who are quite literally dwindling down on resources so soon, they'll start to run out.
It's a big part of the reason why Kovacs seemingly wants to see if he can find another refresh if possible, but again, teams next to the Nitrodrome fully aware of the fact that these last little bits of metal are probably gonna have to be the hard mats that carry them through the rest of this mid game. Some nice connections though. Rapid, that is a big knock.
A huge knock there. And look at this, we jump back in and Flixie's actually down. What went wrong? And now it's up to Vico to try to play this one out. We saw Flixie lurking, trying to get a weird angle onto Aviv and Bugha, and they might have actually caught him off guard.
Aviv and Bugha may have even falsely alluded to Vico and Flixie as if they were, trying to just escape, but in actuality, they were really just setting the trap all along. Flixie was playing rather separate in the first place, and yeah, here, you can already tell, shields cracked, low and exposed, and too easy for the big cheese to take care of.
Aviv and Bugha on the move now. No one in sight here as they get a nice clean rotate down the river's edge here. This is match number 10. The back half of the tournament is very much underway here. Aviv and Bugha have a long way to go if they want to break into that top 10, but they are knocking on the door now, as several eliminations in a good placed game here will put them inside the conversation. And this is after having such a struggle day one, right? Completely almost unheard of for Bugha and Aviv, but this day two performance is one to be impressed with. Meanwhile, Huddy and Kovacs from one bad game the previous round, seems like they're carrying that bad vibe into this one here as well. It's not looking good.
From the frying pan straight into the fire is what it feels like currently for Huddy, but he's hoping he can continue to try and make his escape. Chap, though, intent on looking for the confirmation of this next elimination. He wants the points, but more importantly still, he wants the siphon of those materials. All the little goodies that Huddy might still have to offer with his loadout as well. Keep in mind the splashes and the ammunition can go a long way for some of these teams that don't have those weapon bunkers like you already called.
Vico has now brought back Flixie with the reboot van. The most important part about losing your teammate, I think, is the time lost, right? And the resources handed over to the opponents who, of course, secure it. Sure, you'll have time to kind of get back into the swing of things, but you are very behind on time now, which obviously is so valuable, and you do not get back.
Well, I think what's even crazier still is the fact that they were still a couple hundred damage above the threshold. Despite this setback, they are still in an okay position to try and crawl their way out of the hole that Aviv and Bugha essentially placed them into. But top of Rift Island definitely starting to heat up here. Muzz, Epic Whale, after some very essential material. They have 0 metal though, and that could be a massive detriment as the mid to late game transition begins to unfold, because they're gonna have to play exclusively off of brick walls if they enter any engagements at the top of Rift Island here.
Still very, very difficult spot to be in for Huddy here. They have the damage, not much more than that. That's really the truth of it. Look at how many teams have also began to kind of house up here on the Rift Island. You have the likes of Muzz and Epic Whale, amongst others. Huddy here just trying to figure out what he can scrap together. Material is extremely low here. Even now, he's playing with fire here as he's trying to inch his way into the structure above, getting ever so closer to visuals. and company. But on the other side, Peterbot and Pollo making a move here from the outside of the zone now. And they are not looking too hot down at the red line rig.
This could actually be a big spot of trouble here if Peterbot and Pollo aren't careful. They had teams on both sides of them as they continue to try and work their way into Brawler's Battleground. Just look at the amount of materials they've had to expend already, and they're still sitting just outside the edge of zone. All the while, Vico, Flixie, they have cracked into the edge, but now they got to try and break past Reason and the deal.
This is a fight they've seen before. No strangers to one another on the European region. However, there's still Michael and Job also firing in on this fight, so it's not just a clean 2v2. Vico and Flixie, though, have a lot to worry about. They need damage, but more importantly, they need this refresh. Job steps in and just gets crushed for a moment there, but Flixie damaged as well. Vico doubles down on the armored walls and actually finds the elimination. Meanwhile, Pollo and Peterbot are fighting their way in as well. And this time, it's up against Cold and Acorn.
Cold and Acorn have been struggling today as far as their surge has been concerned, and big part of the reason why they don't have that direct contest that they were able to depend on in day number 1 up against the likes of Andalex and Sato. So taking this exchange with Peterbot and Pollo, it's only going to hinder both teams at this stage because Baka and Pars, they're starting to put their heads into the mix, and Resigns, a lone soldier, he's not going to be able to make it out.
Huge pickup for Epic Whale, though. He's actually going to be the one to get the last tag from the Rift Island down onto Resigns there. Meanwhile, you would have thought it was Damo who was close nearby, but no, it's Agers in the storm.